Stories stir the soul,
Stories reveal.
and stories heal.
In this podcast, we will give you an inside look at someone who's had a life-changing breakthrough.
Real people, real stories with real breakthroughs. As a health and wellness expert and coach, and Todd as a men's mentor,
We've seen firsthand what God can do when it comes to a breakthrough. So lean in, listen well. This could be your biggest breakthrough.
hey friends, welcome to this episode of Your Biggest Breakthrough. I'm your host, Wendie Pett.
Yes, and hi, friends. I'm Todd Isburner. Friends.
Friends, hey friend, did you know that we are part of the Spark Media Network, and you can find this
They're friends.
podcast?
Friends
Yes,
of ours.
they're friends. They're friends of ours. And you can find this podcast on the Edify app, pray.com, KHCB streaming, so many others. Yeah.
They're all
Did you
our
know that?
friends.
They're all our friends.
You guys
How many
are
friends do you have,
really
Todd?
getting weird right now about the whole friends thing. What'd you just ask me? How many friends do I have?
How many friends do you have?
Hang on, let me just check here. 327. I used to have almost 5,000 friends. I only have like 327 now. How about you?
I'm closer to 5,000.
Are you
I'm not
really?
there. Yeah.
A little show off, yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's
So,
because
and you know all their names?
all of them.
Everything about them. Of course, we're talking about the friends on Facebook.
Yeah. And we really want to talk about friends and what it means to be a friend. And what is
Yes.
a friend? What's the definition of a friend?
Well, first of all, what we want to really do today
yeah.
is to remind ourselves of the value of friendships.
Yeah.
Because I think sometimes we take these things for granted, and especially if you've been duped into thinking that your friends are really those people on Facebook.
Well, especially
you're
with,
for a surprise.
well, some of them are, Todd, but
Yeah.
the thing is that with social media, I think we have gotten away from the activities that real friendships actually do together.
Yeah.
So on today's episode, we want to talk about friends and how friendships can affect your life for good and for bad, and how to get the
Exactly.
most and give the most. How about that for an episode?
So if you went to the dictionary, like what would be the definition of a friend? You have it right in front of you because I printed it out for you.
Well, why don't you just go ahead and tell me? Yeah.
A person who has a strong liking for and trust in another,
Yes.
a favored companion.
Yes.
Now, let me just add something to that.
Okay. Are you going to add to the definition?
I am. Yeah, because they need to put in that it's a mutual relationship,
Right.
because you wouldn't really have a friend if you're just doing nothing but sucking from them the best you can get, and then you give nothing back.
Well,
It
the
has to
person that's sucking off that friend may think I got a great friend.
That's not true. But see, that's not a real
Unfortunately,
friend.
no.
It has to be a mutual relationship, not one-sided.
Yes.
There has to be a
yes.
give and a taking,
Yeah,
right? Not a taking, but a
100%.
receiving.
Give
So-
and take. Yeah.
Let's talk about, first of all, let's talk about friends that are good for us and friends that are not so good for us,
Okay.
because everybody's
We're not going
experienced
to be
that.
naming names, are we?
I don't know. Depends. Depends the mood I'm in. All right. So let's talk first about friendships that are really good for us and how we can be a good friend in return.
Yeah. And also, like, why would you even tune into this right now? Like, what's the point?
Because like I mentioned earlier, if you were listening,
Oh, and
This-
friendships. We listen. Friends listen.
this is an area we can take for granted
Yeah.
or take advantage of
Right.
or not give enough to.
Right.
And pretty
And
soon,
we're all probably guilty of it somewhere.
well, I know I am. This is how
I know you are.
so I came up with the topic because I'm thinking, man, what kind of a friend are you really to some of these people that, are you giving back as much as you're getting? So it
Yeah.
caused me to think about the incredible value of friendships. And I know some people who have very, very few friends, and they
Right.
become very lonely.
Yeah.
They become very isolated when it comes to problem solving, and they can't get things figured out. There's nobody to go to.
Right. Right.
So there's really
So-
something to be said about understanding the importance of friendships, being
Yeah.
one and having.
And so you basically decided to write this episode and
For
talk
me.
out of guilt,
That's
which is
exactly
which is
right.
great. So this
So-
is brought to you by the
Yeah,
guilt
Guilt
from
and Todd.
Todd.
But I'm hoping we can all relate and
No, we
maybe go
can.
a step further,
Yeah.
starting today
Yeah.
with your friendships. Number one, being extraordinarily grateful to God for the good friends that you have.
Yes.
And number two, be very discerning about what kind of a friend you are and what kind of friends you have that maybe you need to put some real thought into.
Yeah. And if you don't have a lot of friends in your life, then it's time to pray them in, honestly. Maybe you're fine with just a few, and that's okay. I mean, we don't need like
No, you don't need
all those 5,000 friends.
No,
but
right.
but we do need solid people in our life, and we need to be that solid person in somebody else's life that will go to bat for one another.
Well, that's what a good friend will do.
Well, right, in prayer and serving one another, and having fun and playing, but also talking like serious truth and the hard stuff that nobody wants to hear, but a real friend will tell you in an honest way, in a loving way.
Yeah.
Maybe it's not always a real loving way, but it's honest. And it helps you rise up and become a better individual.
I think there's a distinction to be made too, between being the friend of your spouse and then having out somebody outside your marriage as a friend. And I think both are extremely important.
Oh, yes.
The first and primary friendship obviously is with your spouse.
Yes.
You have to develop that. And
honestly, I'm glad we're
true?
friends.
Well,
honestly.
And if the friendship falters a little bit,
yes,
you can always repair it.
You always.
I'm thinking about how true I really believe this to be, and that is that the best marriages are the ones who started out with two people who decided to be friends
first,
and then that friendship grew,
mm-hmm.
and then they got married, and then the friendship continues to grow. Now, in a marriage, if the friendship stops growing, that's going to lead to major problems.
Yeah, but why do you believe that a friendship stops growing? Is it because
I think
you take one another for granted?
Absolutely.
Right.
Take each other for granted, or you have certain expectations of that
so
person.
You become disappointed, and then you kind of just stop showing up in the way that you used to show up.
All true. So that's inside of the marriage. But outside the marriage, it's just as important to have really good friends.
Yeah.
And I think probably if you were to ask yourself, like, so who's my best friend?
Oh, well, I know that.
I just don't. I have a problem with it.
What? Like, because you're a dude. Well, look, if you got best friend,
you got maybe 4, 5, 6 really good friends. You say, well, who's your best friend?
Well, you would say, I know who you would say.
No, I would say all of them. I would say Jesus is my best friend.
You just don't want to say.
But tell me about.
Everyone knows that Tracy is my best friend.
All right,
everybody knows. But
you guys
I also
are bestie buddies.
We are, but I also have really other close friends, and so does she.
And what's sort of the hallmark of identifying those as good friends? What makes it a good friendship?
Well, honestly,
give some examples.
Okay, so I believe that we can call each other up at any given time, and we kind of understand one another's language. We can laugh about things. We can speak truth into one another's life and not feel like, on the defensive at all. We're like, oh yeah, because we respect one another. It's respect, right? And yet we have lots of fun. We're silly. We put our guard down and just kind of act like little girls together and just act a little spazzy, that. So it's a safe place. But it's also a place where, gosh, I don't know. There's just always, you will always pick up, even if you're not talking all the time, right where you left off.
Yeah.
So that's important.
Yeah, I would just want to pick up on that for a second, because I've got a couple of friends. I'm thinking about Wayne, for example. I don't see him that often. I am, because you can maintain a friendship for a lifetime.
Yes.
Even though you don't spend a lot of time together.
Right.
There's just something about that bonding experience that occurs when you just know that you can pick up with your friend, whether it's been 2 or 3 years since you've spoken. And you can pick up right where you left off last time.
Totally.
That's the mark of a true friendship, I believe.
Yeah. Yeah. And you may have that friendship with your siblings, and which is really great. I mean, I think of like your grandkids and how they're just really good friends, right?
Yeah. Well, I think about my own siblings.
Well, your own siblings. Exactly.
We're good friends.
I'm friends with my sister, and it's just everyone's different, but it's important to have that good friend and to be that good friend. And so what does that really mean? I mean, I know we just kind of talked about it a little bit, but are you, and I guess I'm asking me and I'm asking you, are we showing up and being the best friend that we can be?
How do you know if you are or if you aren't?
Well,
ask your friend.
Ask your friend. Am I being a
friend?
No, that's actually really good.
Well, here, can I give you an example?
Are you feeling?
No, but I've had a couple of really, really close friends. I've got sort of a core of guys that are really good friends. But 2 in particular stand out. And one of them, he and I again, we're just so close. We talk about anything. We've been through a lot together. He's been through a lot. I was there for him. I've been through a lot. He's been there for me. And we can pick up at any time and just be able to share our guts with each other.
Yeah.
And I had that with another friend who really I would have considered as my best friend.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think I was as good a friend to him as he was to me.
Really?
And I think it began to falter a little bit. And then sort of, you're looking at me with a really, don't go on YouTube and watch this because you're going to see expressions on her face that are going to make you wonder.
Because I don't believe that to be true.
All right. So what I
believe some other circumstance in
there were other circumstances, but I think I could have done things a little differently to maintain strength in that relationship, in that friendship. And unfortunately, over a period of time, it fizzled.
Yeah.
And I've got some great memories, and I feel like I could go back and pick up where I left off.
Too.
But if he doesn't want that, then there's nothing you can do about it.
No, but it's still, it's hard.
Yeah, we can lose a friend.
Lose a friend.
We're not totally sure exactly why that is.
Yeah.
But you can feel the effect of it in your life.
But sometimes it has nothing to do with you.
Okay.
I'm just going to say, sometimes it's the other person too. But you do have to evaluate and say, am I showing up in this friendship and being the best that I can be? And am I going the extra mile? Because I think sometimes we get kind of just lazy.
So how do you, let's give a couple practical ideas.
Okay.
Like, so how do you maintain good friendships?
Well, I mean, I mentioned Tracy, but of course I have my other core few, Julie and Terry, and just a few that I really am close with. And we make it very intentional to talk to one another on the phone or text back and forth. I mean, at least once a week. And I think that's really important. But
I noticed recently, for example, because you guys are very honest with each other and your friend asked you an opinion on something.
Oh,
and
yes.
A good friend tells the truth.
And
a quasi friend says, "Oh no, that's great.
Yeah, whatever makes you happy. If that's what
you didn't, you spoke it like it is,
right?
And your friend received that.
Yes, and I've received it from her as well on some things. So that's important to have that. But I don't know. I think friendship is one of those. It depends on the season too, because sometimes we're in more of a going the extra mile season, and sometimes we're the recipient of that friend that's going the extra mile. So I think that's where that, like you said, give and take comes into play. But it can't be, tilted too far over, or then that's when things get kind of wonky.
That's what I would encourage us to do. Like right now, is just do a little self-evaluation. Sort of analyze, where are things with my friends? So maybe just jot down, or mentally jot down, well, here are the friends that I really believe in, my good friends. Yeah.
And how you're showing up as a friendship with
these are my go-to
spouse.
Friends.
Yeah.
And then just begin to ask yourself the questions we're asking ourselves right here with you. And that is, am I giving the most to this friendship?
Yeah.
And what am I receiving from this friendship that I need to really, really appreciate? Do I need to stop right now and thank God for this person and that person and this friend because of what they've contributed into my life that I don't want to take for granted?
Right.
And then the next step beyond that would be to send a text or a phone call or something, an email that expresses that friendship. It's amazing how those words of affirmation and gratitude will strengthen the bond of your friendship. So that's something very practical you can do today.
No, that's true. And to actually evaluate the friendship to make sure it's a healthy friendship. Is it a codependent friendship? Because that's something that I think it's important to evaluate that.
We're going to get into that.
Are you being codependent? Are they?
Yeah.
Or is it a narcissistic? I mean, it's just important to see, is this a healthy relationship?
Right.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about those friendships that aren't maybe so good for you.
Had a few of those.
But first, obviously the Bible says a lot about friends and friendships.
Yes.
So
a friend loves at all times, and a brother is born for adversity. That's Proverbs 17:17.
Would you like to give the interpretation of that?
No, you go ahead.
No, you. How does it read again?
A friend loves at all times, and a brother is born for adversity.
Yeah.
In other words,
I'm looking at that.
Oh, are you?
Yeah, because I haven't had time to really think about that. So if you've got a friend who loves at all times, well, they're really a friend no matter what. My ups, my downs, my goods, my bads. They don't put on expectations, and that I don't have to perform for them.
Right. You can just be you, and they're going to love you anyway.
Yeah. But what about this part of a brother's born for a time of adversity?
Well, at a time for trouble, I mean, they become more like a brother than even a friend. They become so close.
Maybe the
A real
adversity
friend.
can be really a good thing
Yeah, absolutely.
because you can learn from it.
Yeah.
So Wendy and I are amateurs at doing this right now, and we apologize.
We're
for that.
amateurs?
Amateurs.
We're
We're,
amateurs.
we're being amateurs in interpreting the Bible. We should have done our homework ahead of time. I just grabbed a few verses out of the scriptures that I thought, are a pretty good fit in terms of talking about friends, like
Yeah.
Proverbs 18:24. One who has unreliable friends. Never mind. That's not the one I was.
No, that's when you have bad friends.
Well, yeah, right. So actually, this would fit. One who
iron
has
sharpens iron.
one who has unreliable friends soon comes to ruin.
Uh-huh.
But there is a friend who sticks closer than a brother.
Yes.
And I know you've heard that verse before, and you're maybe thinking, "Oh, well, that's talking about Jesus."
Sister.
And yeah, and it probably is, or could be, but I think you get the point of that. That there's something so valuable about the friend who sticks with you no matter what.
Through thick and thin.
Maybe you're going through some things where you really need to be confronted, and your friend is willing to confront you, but also love you through it. And maybe the shoe's on the other foot, and you're that friend that God is calling to be the confronter of a situation in your friend's life that you know is not good for them, but you're willing to risk it by courageously sharing out of love what your friend needs to hear, and then helping them through the process.
Yeah, I think
that
that's
is a
the
mark
key.
of true friendship.
Helping them through the process. Yeah. I mean, I do. I think we all need someone that we can go to and share our deepest, toughest stuff. I mean, obviously, yes, we have a friend in Jesus. I mean, that he is our confidant. He is our counselor. I get that. We all get that. But having that friendship that you can verbally just kind of talk things out with, I think it helps our health. If you want to know the truth, it helps us.
Well, we do want to know the truth, Wendy.
Oh, right.
So thank you.
The truth is, it will help your health.
Yeah. Can I?
You'll be happier. Go.
Oh, did I interrupt you?
No, you go.
Okay. So this is in Job 16.
Mm-hmm.
And Job says, "My intercessor is my friend, and my eyes pour out tears to God on behalf of a man. He pleads with God as one pleads for a friend." Yeah. There's just something to be said about the distance a friend is willing to go.
Yeah. And to pray like that for a friend. There's no greater joy, honestly, because we have prayed for friends time and time again. And it's
and we've seen God answer prayers.
Oh, yeah. But it's an honor, really, to pray for friends.
It's true. Yeah. And it should be an honor for you to ask your friend to pray for you rather than feel like, you're just going to tell me
shame around it or whatever.
Situation you just got too much pride.
Bother them.
Yeah. I mean, I'm there. I sometimes
That's
way
you?
too much
Get
pride.
Too much pride.
I do. Then sort of feel like I got to,
So you're kind of keeping your friends, you're keeping them from having the gift of praying.
Yeah, that's true.
That's kind of sad.
Yeah, that's not good.
No.
I'm being convicted right now.
So good. All right. So there's a way you can.
Bob, will you pray for me, please? Hey, what about
Bob?
What about examples in Scripture of solid friendships?
Yeah.
I'm thinking about Jonathan and David because I think that's a classic one.
That's a great friendship, man.
I mean, Jonathan was there for David in ways that most men would have never done because here's your dad, king of the nation, who hates your best friend and is out to kill him. But you're going to stick with him closer than a brother. You are just not going to let him down. You're going to do everything you can to protect him. You're going to defend him.
Was Jonathan rebellious or did he really? No, just kidding.
Yeah. There's a great.
You don't want me to have him as a friend? Watch this.
It's in 1 Samuel where they tell the story about Jonathan and David and this incredible friendship that they had. They made a covenant with each other. They would not only care for each other, but they would care for each other's families.
Yeah.
And later, after Jonathan was killed in battle, David he made good on his promise. When he became king, he went out and he sought out Jonathan's kids, particularly one, and took him in.
Wow.
So friends, you want to sort of see a friendship that's really modeled. Go read in 1 Samuel about David and Jonathan.
Yeah.
And
good.
Who others? Are there others that we can think of?
No.
There are.
I'm just kidding.
Oh man, what?
Well, even you put me on the spot. I wish we would have talked about this before. Like Naomi and
Oh, and
and Ruth.
Yeah,
Like that's
that's
an
true.
interesting, beautiful friendship.
Daughter-in-law, mother-in-law.
Exactly.
Mm.
So it doesn't
Yeah,
always have to be,
it's good.
they're related in the sense that, because of marriage, but they've become friends. And why are you looking at me like that?
Watching you. You're groping right now.
I'm groping.
Here.
Well, and
Here's
that's
the
a
outline.
friend for you. He'll
Here's the
tell you
outline
like it
Here's
is.
the outline that I put together for us. We can come back to that.
See, the problem is I should have been involved with the outline. But the truth is, we hope you're still sticking with us and listening. That's what we hope. Because if
And
you
that
were
you're
a
getting-
friend, you would be listening
That's
and
exactly
hanging out with
right.
us,
Yes.
no
Hey.
matter what, through thick and thin.
Speaking of which,
Good.
I just realized that some of you, have prayed for your children to have the right friends, right?
Boy,
Some of you
we
gone
have.
through experiences where your kids you thought had the wrong friends and they were not a good influence. We're going to talk about what happens when you have friendships that are not good for you. But before we get there, I just want to point something out. When my daughters were little girls, I prayed right from the start, God, when they go to school, I'm asking you to bring them friends that are good, friends that are Christians, friends that know you.
Yeah.
And both my daughters had that. And my one daughter in particular had a friend to this day. And they're solid Christian, godly women raising Christian kids.
Yeah. That's so cool.
Because God answered that prayer. And maybe you've been, in that same spot where you've prayed, and maybe you've been, frustrated because you've seen friends come into your children's lives, even adult children, that just don't seem to be the right influence for them.
Right.
So
But
what do?
you keep praying.
And you keep modeling.
You
what
keep
good friendships
modeling
are all
and you
about.
keep praying, because God does hear those prayers, and he wants those people in their lives. But yeah, having friendships that are bad for us, or being a bad friend, is one of those things.
That's the other side of the coin.
Side of the coin.
Yeah,
that
it's there.
It's there, and I think I've been probably a bad friend, and I've had bad friendships, and I think, man, I look back and I say, I think, who was that person, but that was pre JC in my life. So I'm going to put that caveat out there.
Okay. Did you catch that? Pre-JC.
Yeah. What? Pre Jesus Christ.
Before you had an intimate relationship as a born again.
That is very
follower of
true.
Jesus.
Yeah. Yep. I was a hellion.
The consequence of having the wrong friends has this rippling effect throughout your life. We had a guest on the podcast, Matt Crea, recently, and he talked about the impact of friends that he had in his life. And
yeah, it's like you feel one another to keep doing the bad. Keep taking it to a little edge further. Just keep, up in the ante to your antics of evil.
I remember in high school trying to be a hot shot, and Mr. Comedian, funny boy.
In high school.
All right. Well, probably recently too, but back then, yes. I had some good friends, and I had some friends that were not good for me, and I was not good for them. And it's amazing how quickly you can get into trouble.
Yes.
When you are supported by people who are encouraging the wrong things in life.
Yeah, they're not really your friend, but in the moment it feels like their friend, because birds of a feather flock together.
Well, that's it. You've got this camaraderie.
Yeah, right.
And then you fuel each other to do things and to kind of go beyond where you should, because you're showing off and you're impressing and all that other junk that goes with it. So the question is, in your life, as you evaluate your friendships, are there any that might be a little bit suspect? A couple that really are not benefiting you, and
you're not benefiting them.
Because if that's the case, then what do you do?
Well, first you have to have a little check with your own self. Like, why am I not benefiting them? Even if they aren't a good influence in your life, like why are they influencing you in a bad way as opposed to you influencing them in a good way? And again, I know that can get kind of muddied, because it is hard, like peer pressure, and just we become the kind of 5 people we hang out with most. It's so true. And so if we're hanging out with people that are rebellious and just have their own flesh desires, and they're just doing that, and you kind of get caught up in the wave of it, then it's not going to be good for either one. So you've got a scripture?
No. Well, I mean, later I do, I might, but no, I'm thinking about, again, what do you do if you come to a place of saying, okay, that friendship is really not the right friendship to have. It's not God honoring. we don't put Christ in the center of it.
Right.
There are things I'm being influenced by that are not good for me, or
Well,
things.
yeah,
that
it's
might
usually
be
checking
influencing others.
yourself first.
Yeah.
And then you understand
But
that,
it's-
oh, that's not a good friendship for me.
So again, the question is, what do you do about it?
Well, you're going to have to cut ties, and it's really hard.
Yeah.
Proverbs 22:24-25 says, make no friendship with a man given to anger, nor go with a wrathful man, lest you learn his ways and entangle yourself in a snare. I mean, think about that, a snare. Get entangled and caught up in this says anger, but whatever
it is,
actions and thoughts and gossip and all the things that aren't healthy.
But I asked you what to do about it. And you said cut it off.
You do.
So that doesn't need to be a big dramatic, terrible, horrible public thing.
No.
But there's ways that you can begin to distance yourself.
Right. Yeah, sometimes.
So that is our challenge to each of us. Evaluate your friendships. For those friends of yours that you know are God-given gifts, do not take them for granted.
No.
And even today, reach
nurture.
out and thank that person for being your friend.
I need to do that right now.
Yeah, and offer what I'm right now. Wait till we finish here in just a couple of minutes. And offer whatever you can that you know that your friend needs and appreciates from you.
Yeah. Yeah. And again, making sure that there's healthy boundaries around there, because you don't want to be such a giver that you're depleted in the friendship. It has to be that two-sided situation. But honestly, if you're not showing up, I think you need to ask yourself why, and always being the one that receives, like, that's not healthy. So, and the giving doesn't always mean things. It means prayer. It means a text. It means just letting them know that you're thinking of them. That's a big part of it.
I mentioned that, one of my best friends from years ago, who's still my best friend. I said earlier that we don't have best friends, but I kind of said,
I'm not, and that's why I'm laughing.
Yeah, all right. So when he went through a very difficult time, the best thing I had to offer him was my ears.
Oh, yes.
To just listen and my heart to feel. And he would come over and sit on the deck and, and just talk things out.
Yeah.
And God gives us the grace to know what our friend needs.
Yeah.
Doesn't always mean you've got to have all the right answers and all of that. You just sometimes just need to be there, just like
shoulder to cry on.
Yeah. Just being in their presence together. What was it that I heard? There were a couple of Native Americans who were really, really good friends in their older age. And they would get together and sometimes sit for long periods of time without ever saying a word.
Really?
And then at the conclusion of their time together, they would say, "It was really great being with you."
Oh,
that
makes me
cool?
want to cry. That's actually really sweet.
Well, that's how
I can't imagine ever doing that, though.
Well,
like
why don't you and I test it out? Let's not
love
talk.
That.
Let's just stop talking for a while.
You would love that. So at least for
what
me.
a good friend you are. Hey, oil and perfume make the heart glad, and the sweetness of a friend comes from his earnest counsel. So there'll be times you'll know that, oh boy, I know that God is speaking through me because I love my friend, and I'm going to help encourage them in the right way. And then when it's happening with you as well.
Because they're encouraging you.
So first and foremost, we have to thank God.
Yeah.
This is a gift that He's given to us.
True. It's true.
It's your little community. It's how He provides for you in a tangible way the love and support that you need.
That's right.
And that you need to give.
And I think it's so healthy when we have friends, and when we are going through life alone, it's just, man is not made to be alone. And so sometimes there's just this false idea that we have all these friends when we really don't. We're just observing their life and saying, hey, amen, or happy birthday, or whatever it is. But are you really dialoguing with that person? Do you really know their deepest need? And are you being those listening ears for them? Because that's what it takes. So, let's go back old school. Let's pick up the phone and have a conversation. Do a FaceTime call. That's what we do. My girlfriend and I, we like once a week, we'll do like a FaceTime call the best we can. If we're traveling or whatnot, we do it anyway. But
and if all those people on Facebook really are your friends, just start DMing like crazy.
Yeah. But also just meeting in person.
Yeah.
Like there's nothing better than like actually physically being with your friend. And I think it just goes a long way when you take that time.
Yeah.
And you're important.
And we know we're stating the obvious, but we're doing that to remind ourselves just how good we have it when we have friends and how much we want to give back reciprocal two-way friendships. So that's our encouragement for you today.
Yeah.
Thank you for being our friend.
Yes.
I wish we
thanks
could
for
sing
being
that
our
song.
friend.
Friends are friends forever.
Ooh, I don't. What
All right.
kind of
Well,
song is that right
well,
there?
Michael
That sounds
Michael
like
W.
a
Smith.
Catholic,
That's friends. Friends are friends forever.
I know, but you were way off with the tone. Like
That was kind of sort of the Catholic monk chant friend singing.
Yes.
Okay.
It's hilarious.
I'm so
Okay.
glad you're my friend, Wendie. You can
I'm so
put up
glad
with a
you're
lot.
mine. Yes. And we appreciate your friendship and
Yes,
you
we
tuning
do.
in. And we hope you're encouraged. And yeah, reach out to your friend today and make it intentional and be action oriented. So God bless you. And we'll catch you next time on Your Biggest Breakthrough. Head on over to yourbiggestbreakthrough.com where you'll find some free resources and information and a place where you can comment, and we would love to dialogue with you there. So thanks so much for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.